The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Icons of Real Estate podcast. With us today, we have Kathy Byrnes. She's a waterfront specialist realtor with Lepage Johnson Realty Group and obvious eXp Realty, and has been in real estate industry since 2005. But Kathy started out when she was 55 years old in a new state and a new industry, and still managed to reach what we want to call financial freedom. So let's hear this vigorous story here right on the Icons of Real Estate podcast. Welcome to the show, Kathy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you coming along. So start with your real estate journey, because when people say that, obviously, oh, I've been in real estate since 2005, like they think, oh, okay, you have been experienced. But when you say like, no, I started out with 55 years old, people get a bit confusion. So can you let us know what happened? What were you doing before 2005? And why did you decide to enter this industry?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So at 55, I decided I was going to recreate myself. And I moved from Michigan to North Carolina, where my daughter was. She was the only person that I knew. And I had done financial planning for 23 years. But I was also, I had gotten in a situation where I was leaving a relationship. I had no money. My daughter was really going to help support me, but I was used to living a pretty large lifestyle. And so to start over, I had to figure it out. And so I decided after about 6 months being here that I would get into real estate, because my family was in real estate. My mother was a very successful realtor in Georgia. My father was a commercial builder. I grew up around real estate. And so I thought, shoot, I could do that. And so I got my license and I started with Coldwell Banker. And I didn't interview them. I thought that they were interviewing me, and I loved their logo colors. And they said they wanted me. I go, okay, I'll go. And so, and it was good for a while, but I found out I was teaching them more about tech and they weren't sharing. And so I decided to go to RE/MAX, and I went to RE/MAX because I heard that they were a higher level. So I went to RE/MAX, and over there, I started a partnership with another agent. We were there for about 7 years, built a good business, felt we didn't need that anymore. We were looking for something different. So we went to a smaller boutique company, and we were there for about a year and a half. My business partner decided to go another direction, which was fine. And I ended up leaving there and going to Keller Williams, but I was only there for about 8 months when I joined the Lepage Johnson team. And 2 weeks later, they said they were going to eXp. And I said, okay, what the heck, I'll just go. I didn't know anything about eXp, and I just went. And but along the way, through that whole journey, I built a reputation, I built a business, and I started to make a living. But when I got to eXp, that was the life changer.
So you just decided to trust on Craig and Shelly to make the right decision, and you followed.
Well, they're a mega team. They were always very well respected. I used to stalk Craig because his marketing was so ahead of the curve. And Shelly, I knew a little bit. I'd seen her around, but she's such a rainmaker as far as people, and really a visionary. But Craig's marketing was what I was attracted to. I had no budget to do marketing, so I would try and model whatever he was doing with no budget. And when I got on their team, they offered me all that marketing. It was like, oh my gosh, yes.
Nice. And were they in the eXp before you joined, or? They
No,
were in Keller Williams before.
they were in Keller Williams. When I left that other company, which was called Cell State, I left them and came to Keller. And Craig had just said, come sit by us, get a feel for Keller, because I felt like I was actually going backwards in my commission structure. Nothing against Keller, but the fees were much higher. And but I was kind of scrambling and trying to figure out what to do. My mother, I was taking care of her. She had dementia. And I just was struggling with personal as well. And my business partner just left a few months before, and I was figuring out how to do my business. I was just knew I need to figure something out. And they just said, come sit by us, do your own thing, we'll here support you. And finally, and Keller actually offered me a coaching position, and where I would have gotten 10% from a lot of new agents, but I didn't like it. I didn't like their coaching, and their tech was too behind for me. I mean, even though I'm older, I'm kind of a techie. So that's one of the things I love about EXP. But I just, I had run into Craig and Shelley at lunch, and they were asking me, what are you going to do now? I said, I just turned down that coaching position at Keller. And they said, will you consider coming on the team? And they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And 2 weeks later, they said, we're going to EXP. And I just said, whatever, because I trusted them. I knew who they were. I knew that they'd done their homework.
Nice. And when was in what year?
That was 2017, 5 years ago this month.
5 years ago this month. Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, we're in EXP 5 years.
Big anniversary. And yeah, you were saying like you're a very techie woman, despite whatever age it is, right? We don't even know what is that. How many years have we been living? Everyone decides to learn what they learn with the years that they have in this planet Earth. But of course, people might think, how old you were when you started out in real estate. Like you were 55 years old. This is maybe someone that is already thinking about retiring, and it's already it's more important with having a steady job in a steady life. So is there anything that you want to specifically say to people that maybe can be in the same situation as you were before, and they are afraid of making a change, or they're afraid of betting on themselves?
Yeah. Well, for me, I was broke and I was dependent on my daughter. So, and one of the reasons I left the situation I was in before is I didn't want to be dependent on anyone else again. And so I knew I needed to do this. And I'm extremely tenacious. If I set my sights on something, I'll go after it. But, and I've had a lot of women approach me like, how did you do it? I'm too scared. I said, well, I'm a Christian gal, first of all, and I'm a big believer in trusting God. And so I mapped out what I wanted to do, and I was not going to quit until I did it. I didn't move out from my daughter. It was at least 3 years in before I actually felt strong enough to do it. And I wasn't even strong enough. I just went out there, and I thought I had a big sale come in, and it actually fell through. That was another good lesson. Don't spend the money before you've got it. But I was just on a mission. And so for me, I think that the women just need to trust that they are strong enough. They need to look back in their life and look at different things that they have overcome already, and see that if you have done something before, you can do it again. And especially if you have God as your guidance. For me, I really believe that I've gone through many big challenges in my life, and I made them through. So if I made them through that, well, then I can make it through this, and I'm not going to quit. It was non-negotiable. I was going to succeed. Non-negotiable.
Perfect. And you can see that this advice, is directly to someone in your position. Because if you say that to someone that is just starting and it's young, and you say something like, "Oh, you've done things in the past," like they will think, "No, I haven't." So like, of course, the way that you're saying things, it's for people that have gone on the same path as you. And I think if they're listening to this, I think they can empathize a lot. And and yeah, so you move from Michigan, right, to Charlotte. And did you start out being a realtor in Michigan, or you started in Charlotte?
I started here. My first job when I got here, because my background was financial planning, is I got my insurance license, and I started working for a company that was selling annuities, and they worked in harmony with trusts. But they were really had no scruples whatsoever. They were really taking advantage of senior citizens here in North Carolina, and I knew that they were in 7 other states. Well, I wasn't making any money because I couldn't sell the product that they were trying to get me to sell, because it was straight commission. I've been straight commission the majority of my life. And so I ended up working with the Attorney General to shut them down in 7 states because it was just so wrong. And my daughter says to me, "You got to get to work. This is all a great cause and everything, but we need money." And so I did. Then I got my license. Actually, I got my license in 2006, which was really hard, because I don't know about you, my brain cells at 55 were pretty shot, and I wasn't a great student. So I just really had to buckle down. But it's about commitment. You know, if you're going to start this career, for me, this has been the hardest career I've ever chosen. But you have to just be committed to it. I have agents all the time that want to quit. And I ask them, "Well, what did you get in for? What's your agenda? What's your goal? What else do you see if you don't do this? You know, do you want that financial freedom?" Because at EXP, it can be life-changing. It can be, because it has so many components that offer it. But if you don't commit, you will not succeed at this or anything else if you don't commit.
Yeah, and that's impressive. I cannot be bored to say it again. I think it's impressive what you did. And of course, even to pass the real estate, to have do the real estate exam.
Yes.
You know, with that some youngsters are struggling with their overpowerful brains, and you show that your overpowerful brain is still here to stay and to show more. And yeah, you consider yourself so specialize in waterfront properties.
Yes.
Can you let us know what does it mean exactly? Of course, besides the obvious fact that
sure,
houses that are close to the water.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Michigan, land of 1,000 lakes. And so I always grew up around the water. Also, money's where the water is. So for me, I focus in. Whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to focus in. And my agenda was to live on the water so that I could be associated with people who did. So the first house I moved into was a rehabbed garage on the water. That was just a little house for $1,200 a month, and it was a rental. And so, because for me, that was how I was going to connect with people who had bigger homes and were on the water and could afford to live there, that bought them. So that was my first agenda. And that was a short sale that sold quickly, but I had negotiated into my lease that if they sold it as a short sale, that they would give me back $2,000 so that I would have the money to go get another one. And so they gave me back $2,000. And I got into a really cool little A-frame on Main Channel down past a very influential area, surrounded by lots of high income. So that was really the changing point for me. So what I did is I investigated all the homes on this peninsula, and I got all their addresses and saw that a lot of them were second home owners. So on a man-made lake like this, there's a lot of restrictions. So my background being financial planning, I was creating spreadsheets and I was analyzing how the money was working there. I was learning how the setbacks were, all the different rules of the lake. And I just really focused in on it. I ended up selling about 15, I think it's 17 properties now that I did just on that 1 mile long peninsula, because I focused in, I marketed to them. And again, I had to do it on a shoestring because I had no money for marketing. But so they were postcards, and I targeted in on who they were, which you can really do great now with Remind in our MLS, which is a great free tool. So I also got a golf cart, which I wrapped, and I would drive it around the area too.
With a speaker with some music on, or
Didn't, but that would have been a good idea.
So so you're talking about that you didn't have any budget to market them. So obviously you chose to have a very unique market approach to each of the individuals there. Can you tell us a bit more about it, and how did you manage to be the representation in those sellings?
Well, in this journey along that time frame, by now I had a business partner, and so she also lived on that same street, turned out, and she owned a home. She was much better off than me, and so we decided that we were going to work that, and we had a very small postcard budget, and so I would send postcards out to those people once a month. And we also worked expireds, and at that time frame when there were expireds, because this was probably around 2010, and there was a builder in our neighborhood on that peninsula who was a very well respected high-end custom builder, and I noticed that he changed realtors fairly often, and they were always women. So I said, well, we're women. Let's go walk into his office and see if we can't talk to him about potentially getting some of his listings. So we go in there on a Saturday morning and introduce ourselves. He'd heard of us because he'd seen our stuff around his territory. And so he goes, sit down. He gave us 15 listings just like that. Well, we were just hoping for an appointment.
Yeah.
And they were land listings all on that peninsula. And he also gave us his personal home, which at that time it was 1.5. But so what it did for us on that peninsula is we had our signs just killing that peninsula, all over. And they were everywhere because they were on the main, they were on the side, little fingers going off. And so it really helped launch us a lot. And we used to do expireds with a strong system. I created a system of how we would go up all the waterfronts in that area, not just on our peninsula. We would do them on Saturday mornings. I created a sheet that was going to have questions about the house, how long it was on the market, if they had any value, equity value in the property, because I needed to know, are they worth me even talking to? And so we would go out every Saturday morning. We had a routine where we would pick the expireds. We would fill out our sheet. We had a little clipboard that had realtor on the back. Patty, my partner, she wasn't real comfortable talking, and I wasn't comfortable walking up. So we were a perfect match. She would walk with me and I would talk, and we would talk to these different people, and that started to launch it. But really what really turned it around, where we started to get some bigger business, is Patty. Her husband built race car engines, and this is Race City here. So she pulls up one day in a 65 fully restored vet with all this beautiful side pipes on it and just smoking hot. And so we got our first waterfront listing because of people would come out and talk to us with that. So I said, this is a marketing machine. And so every Saturday we were out with that car, and it was awesome. And we started to get more and more waterfronts because of that. And because I had studied it and I knew what the needs were. That was important. So the real story of what I'm telling you there is the research that I would do, the commitment that I would do, and the focus.
Yeah, that's impressive. And I guess like you took a different approach, that the other realtors were having in that area, and that's how you won the game. But so that was in the beginning of your time as a realtor, right? How is things working at the moment?
Well, it's great. I am on a team, and I do have people ask me, why are you on a team at this stage in the game? I said, well, I'm on an incredible team who gives me so much back. And I wouldn't have known about EXP to the level that I'm at, or being exposed to the power players in EXP if I wasn't on this team. And so my business is good. I only shoot for a goal of 6 million a year because I am looking to back production down. I'll be 72 next month, and I don't want to be focused on it. But the funny thing is, because you've been in business and you've taken good care of people, they keep calling. I get calls all the time. I probably will hit 6 million next month. So, and I have a $5 million house that we have a listing agreement on. We're hopefully going live. So I'll blow past my numbers fast, which is what I usually do. Because I don't pursue it. But one thing I do is I do a card that's by send out cards. And the card says, I got a guy and a gal too on the front of it. I send this out to the people that I want to work with, right? And I promote a vendor, and I promote that vendor every single month of someone that I actually trust and respect, not just anybody. I'm not being paid for it. And I let them know that in my card that I'm not being paid for this. And I just say, this is my monthly card I send out of somebody that I trust. I'm not paid, blah, blah, blah. This is why I love this person. If you need a guy or a gal, think of me. If I don't have a guy or a gal, I know a guy or a gal that's got a guy or a gal, and so people will reach out for that all the time. And I'm known for that just call Kathy, she'll know somebody. And that's what I want to be, the resource.
Nice. Yeah, because I was thinking that it was my next question about your plan of life at this moment, so like how long do you think so you want to back down for production, so you don't want to be a realtor anymore, but if you're talking years, like how many years do you want to be backed out of production, and what are you going to do then?
Well, I would like to back out of production, but empower the people that I brought to EXP, elevate them up so that I could hand over the clients that trust me, that I would have elevated those people so that they could take over. And some of them are power players, happy to turn over some of my clients to them. And for a referral fee, this year, my agenda is to get 30% in outgoing referrals. I'm also teaching everyone I know to think of me not only as I got a guy kind of person, but I've got a realtor anywhere and now internationally that I could vet for them. And so that I will get referral business coming in from that, versus I don't want the referral business to do the business. I want to give the referral so that I get the money instead that way. So that I'm really looking more to shift things that. So I'm building my agent attraction business. I'm very focused on that. I want that residual income, knowing that people will come and go in this business and markets will shift. So you can't have all your eggs in one basket, but that's why I like the referral, outgoing referral, as well as the agent attraction. And with EXP announcing this whole revenue share plus, I'm very intrigued with what that is. I can't wait to go to shareholders and understand that more.
Yeah, I think we're all curious about it.
Yes.
And maybe I think by the time this episode streams, I think we'll all know about it, because it will still take some time. But sure. Yes, the excitement is very real and materialized. And you told me about this, that you wanted to promote the Build conference in August with Tony Robbins, right? Like, what is happening?
So in August, like last year, we were there for the first one, and that was Tony Robbins' first time since COVID to come out into the public. And I think at that one, there were 6,000 agents. And the biggest thing to remember about that is that was not an EXP event. That was Brent Gove and his whole crew all coming together, who's an individual agent who creates that event. And Brent has some amazing events. And to have all these agents come from all around the world to hear how to be better at your business, especially with agent attraction, and which is not just attracting agents, it's how to empower them. I'm a big believer in empowering people and being empowered. And that's what that event is on steroids. And then it ends at the highlight with Tony coming out and giving gold like you can't believe. It blew me away so much that I signed up for his next live, which was in November, just a few months later, to go for the 4 days, and got both my adult children to come, which was really exciting. And we did walk on the fire. It was amazing. And, Tony is just incredible. So the energy that happens at these types of events, like at the Build in August, it's high level. And it isn't just what happens inside those events. It's what's happening in the hallways, by the pool, as you're just meeting people. I always bring a microphone for my phone and I interview agents and I ask them 4 questions. First, where were before? How did someone get you to knock down that wall? Because so many people have a wall about EXP. How did they get you to knock that down? What's your favorite thing about EXP? And what would you say to somebody who had that wall up and didn't believe it? What would you say? And I try and make that a 2 or 3 minute video tops. I give them the video, let them do whatever they want. And I got their permission to be able to market it like crazy, because I want that on LinkedIn. I want it on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, because it's powerful when people really hear all these stories, just like you're doing.
Yeah, and it's great, and it's powerful and inspiring, and it's very hard to ignore. Very hard to ignore. I'll also say that. But yeah, so obviously you're going to be there at the Build conference, right?
Oh yeah.
Will you be there as Kathy Byrnes, realtor, or will you be there as a member of Lepage Johnson team? Are they all going, or is it just you?
Craig and Shelley go for sure every year. I like the platinum seats. I'm way in the front. I need to be where the action's at. I got an extra ticket. I'm hoping to bring somebody with me. A lot of the agent will go, but not everybody is interested in the agent attraction. Not every, they don't get it, and they're afraid of it because people reject you so much. And for me, I see it as such a gift I'm giving when I talk to somebody about this, because this is so life-changing for so many people. It's changed my world, and I have financial freedom now as a result of it. Not huge financial freedom, I'm not in the millions, but I have my kind of financial freedom. And that's all that's important, the luxury of being able to travel to these different events, the luxury of meeting people that just lift you up, they pour into you. Craig and Shelley did an event in Puerto Rico. There was a small mastermind this last few months ago, and it was so powerful. Talked about virtual assistants, crypto, how it's going to affect real estate, and how to get involved with that. And Gene Fredericks, he just blew us away, and so did Brent. There's just so much pouring into in EXP. It's exciting. I got to tell you, I never liked real estate before I joined EXP. I was good at it, but I never liked it. It was a means to an end.
Nice, and I can see you like it by your genuine smile there for everyone that is watching the video. So tell me, Kathy, how can people reach out to you if they want to know a guy or a gal or a guy or a realtor here and there? Let us know.
Sure. My cell, and I don't mind giving it out, is 704-881-3930. And that's really the best way to ever get me. My website is through Lepage Johnson, but my cell is attached to me, even goes everywhere.
Excellent. That was the perfect timing. I don't know if you planned that or not, but that was the perfect timing right there. The message.
No, it just buzzed, right?
It just buzzed. Okay, Kathy, thanks for coming along and for joining here on the Icons movement. And I'm really looking forward to what will you do next and what ideas are you bringing out of the Build conference? Let us know, and we might want to share with the audience. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Oh, I did. I always love telling my story. Thank you for having
Perfect,
me.
and we love hearing it. Thank you, Kathy. Have a good one.
Thank you.